Welcome to Mostly True Stories with Dr. Juan Harrison, a series of feel-good, faith-based short stories from a Texan's perspective. Now here's Dr. Juan Harrison with today's story. Please enjoy.
The other day, I heard Vince Gill singing about regret. It got me to thinking about how much time we waste looking back on things we can't change. If we were able to learn something from it and not repeat it, then a little self-examination is a good thing. Some people spend way too much time looking back and not looking forward. In Christian terms, we say that the devil knows he can't take our salvation, but he constantly works to take our joy and make us a defeated person whose life wouldn't draw anybody to ask us the key to our happiness and peace. We all have things we wish we could have done differently. At the time and the frame of mind and circumstances that we were in, we're now looking back on it through the eyes of experience and maturity. A teen or a young adult confronted with what to do about a life-changing issue might not think about the future. They just want out of a bad situation. Those actions can set in motion events that can haunt you the rest of your life. Later, as you lie awake at 3 a.m. in the middle of a good life that you've built, the what-ifs may try to creep back in and rob you of your precious sleep and joy. This is when forgiveness kicks in. We need to ask forgiveness and forgive ourselves. What's done is done. David and Bathsheba messed up, but God still loved the man after his own heart. David didn't get to build the temple. Moses didn't get to enter the promised land. Samson still did not get back his sight. God forgave the heroin addicts that we were able to reach in Germany, but they didn't get new livers. God could do that, but we still usually pay a price for our decisions. Sin pays more than any of us ever imagined, but grace overlooks that. What we do with the rest of our lives is up to us. Ask the woman at the well who faced discrimination as a hated Samaritan in a Jewish world. He simply told her to go and sin no more. Peter, the only normal guy I know of who had enough faith to walk on water, turned around and denied knowing his best friend. I would say good riddance to a guy like that. I never trusted a car battery or a soldier that let me down in a crunch. I might love him, I just couldn't trust him again. As a policeman or in the military, the cost could be everything. Yet Peter was forgiven and allowed to help build a band of believers numbering in the thousands. Samson got one more surge of power as a final wish as he literally brought down the house. When we have messed up, we have a choice. Face the music, ask forgiveness, and move on, or remain stuck in the state of emotional paralysis, sometimes anesthetized with pills or alcohol. It's a lot easier to remain stuck in self-pity and self-defeat than to get off our duffs and take the first step on a journey where we determine to learn a lesson and be stronger, possibly more understanding and forgiving person because of it. In life, we believe the person who has been there and done that. Like it or not, you have paid the price, perhaps higher than you ever imagined. You are the go-to person now for others as a resource person. You truly become a living Bible. Off the top of my head, come to mind several women I know who had bad starts and had bad first marriages, but through grace and newly found wisdom and strong determination were able to finally have the marriage and the life they could only dream of. Visiting for my church 40 years ago, I had an address in a rough part of town. The name was familiar on the card, but it didn't fit. The man I knew growing up was a well-respected, successful farmer. Since then, he had left his family, business, and community, relocating with someone else in a little shotgun house. Both the house and the woman were faded shadows of their better days. I had grown up in a place like this without electricity and plumbing. Ironically, I would have thought this a castle as a little boy. On this day, it stood as a monument of how high a price a person had better be ready to pay for bad judgment. Gone were the respectability and prosperity. I've often wondered what regrets, what thoughts he had on looking back. The miles reflected in his eyes. The shell of the man that I once lived in awe of for his land and possessions wasn't so intimidating as he briefly visited with me. A spark momentarily came to his eyes when I reminded him of those days of planting and harvest. The crop he had planted now yielded a bitter harvest. Forgiveness was still within reach. Regaining his former life of prosperity was not at this late stage. His surroundings said it all. He seemed to be stuck in the regret stage. I hoped he would be able to overcome it and find peace. The grains of sand were slipping through the hourglass. This is Dr. Juan Harrison, and this has been a selection from my series, The Mostly True Stories of Dr. Juan Harrison. Find me on Facebook and my books on Amazon.com.